Yes, welcome once again, everyone. Cannabis News with Joe Klare, July 12th, 2018. Presented, as always, by the Marijuana Times. Check us out at marijuanatimes.org. A bunch of great articles there, a bunch of great writers. And if you click the video tab on marijuanatimes.org, you will find all of the episodes of Cannabis News. Go check it out. You can also find us on our various platforms. You search Apple Podcasts for the Marijuana Times. You'll find the show. We're also on Vimeo, and we have returned, if you did not hear, to YouTube. Make sure you go subscribe to the Marijuana Times YouTube channel. Get all the episodes of Cannabis News, and make sure you click that little notification bell on there so whenever a new episode is posted, you are alerted immediately, or however close to immediately YouTube gets with those notifications. I just know that subscriptions and subscribing are enough anymore to get the news directly delivered to you on YouTube. You got to click that little notification bell on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube if you have not already. Today we're talking about medical marijuana news out of Maine and out of Florida, and also have a little fun with apparently the DEA has a very long list of marijuana slang terms. Why, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess, we'll talk more about that coming up, but all of that is coming up. But first, as always, I have to tell you, the Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside and their line of organic, all-natural pesticides. Grow safe and poison-free. Don't use harmful chemicals on your grows. If you're a legal cannabis cultivator in a state that has pesticide regulations, you want to be regulatory compliant, you can do all of these things with Natureside. Nature-side.com. Side is spelled C-I-D-E, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Thank you, Natureside. This first story from marijuanatimes.org by Julia Granowitz. Maine lawmakers approved changes to medical marijuana policies against the governor's veto. There's a medical marijuana bill brought before the legislature in Maine as it would make some significant changes to the current medical marijuana policies in the state. It was vetoed by Governor LePage. Governor LePage in Maine does not like cannabis. That is no surprise. It shouldn't come to a shock to anyone who's followed Cannabis News out of Maine for any length of time whatsoever. The House of Representatives overrode the veto with 119 to 23 vote, and the House, as I said, had a 25 to 8 vote in the Senate. The legislation will go into effect 90 days after the end of this legislative session that they are currently in. It removes the list of qualifying conditions that restricts doctors to recommending medical marijuana for specific ailments only. This is becoming a new trend in medical marijuana. We saw it in Oklahoma, no qualifying conditions. Maine has now cleared away the list of qualifying conditions, even over the veto of Governor LePage. It will allow doctors to recommend cannabis for any condition they deem it beneficial. The law will also grant 6 new medical dispensary licenses and allow local municipalities to enact further regulations on the industry, and will allow caregivers, or who are people who grow and administer medical cannabis to registered patients, to expand their businesses, giving storefronts that are currently operating in a gray area a path to legitimacy. Senator Eric Brakey, a Republican from Auburn, is co-chairman of the Health and Human Services Committee, and he helped write the bill. He said Maine's medical cannabis program is already one of the best in the country. The passage of LD 1539 will make it even stronger. More access and choice for patients, more flexibility for legal businesses, and more integrity to the overall program. So another defeat for Governor LePage in Maine. I mean, I was going to say it couldn't happen to a better guy, but, I guess there are some people who we would like to see defeated politically more than Governor LePage in Maine. But still, it ranks up there. He's been vehemently against any kind of recreational marijuana, the regulations for that, any kind of expansion of the medical marijuana program. He's been against that. And as of late, the Maine legislature has been overriding his vetoes, making him basically, useless when it comes to this process. And he's even more useless than he was, I guess I should say, because he was pretty useless the whole time. But now he cannot harm the advancement of marijuana law reform in Maine, and he's out the door soon anyway. Don't have to worry about it. In any case, this next story comes to us from Marijuana Business Daily. You see the chart there. No end in sight for Florida's rapid medical marijuana growth. You see there a number of registered medical marijuana patients in Florida. If you are watching the video. January of this year, beginning of this year, is about 65,000. You can see there. Now the total number of patients, who qualify for medical marijuana in Florida is nearing 130,000. They're adding approximately 2,580 patients per week and nearly 370 patients per day. Currently, the state of smokable flower is prohibited, and traditional marijuana edibles like brownies or gummies are not yet available for purchase. You've been following, if you're a regular watcher or listener of this show, you've been following the saga in Florida, the John Morgan and his battle over smokable marijuana and the lawsuits, and the legal battle that has ensued over that. Then you got the Department of Health battling the legislature. The legislature who banned medical marijuana, they're involved in the legal battles. They kicked off the legal battles over smokable marijuana, rather. And they're also embroiled in battles with the Department of Health, who's been very slow in getting any kind of regulations out for the medical marijuana program that passed almost 2 years ago now, well over a year and a half. There are fewer than 50 dispensaries in the entire state. That's for 130,000 registered patients. Only about 16% of Florida's population lives in a town or city with a medical marijuana dispensary. So the patient count is growing. There's no regulations for edibles yet. There's a dispensary shortage. Things have been slow, haphazard. A lot of incompetence, basically, to be quite honest. A lot of incompetence has been exhibited, especially from the Florida Department of Health. But this lawsuit over smokable marijuana, if that's cleared away and smokable marijuana is allowed, that'll help the expansion of the medical marijuana program and access for people, as will edibles. I mean, no edibles, no smokable marijuana, you're basically just left with vaporizing. And that's just, if you want to talk about medical marijuana and access, you have to give access to everyone, no matter what form they use. Florida's medical marijuana patient count surpassed 100,000 in April. That's a milestone that triggers an additional 4 medical marijuana business licenses and allows existing licensees to open up 5 more dispensary locations each. So hopefully the dispensaries the number of those will expand, because that's absolutely necessary when it comes to access. I mean, you can say, well, you're allowed smokable and you're allowed edibles and you're allowed vaporizing and all that, but if they have nowhere to go get it, then it's relatively pointless to talk about access for medical marijuana. So a lot needs to go on in Florida. I mean, I've been saying this for several months now. The expansion, especially the way that the patient count is expanding, the supply's not keeping up. Obviously, the bureaucrats, the lawmakers, they're not keeping up. Really, no one in positions of authority in Florida when it comes to this is doing anything. They need to get on the ball. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's my 2 cents. If there's anybody in the Florida Department of Health is watching this, get on the ball. If Governor Rick Scott is watching this, back off the smokable marijuana thing. Let it alone. It's ridiculous. Someone's sick. They're not allowed to smoke a joint. It's dumb. It's not medical marijuana. Last story from Reason.com. The DEA's list of cannabis slang is predictably hilarious. Apparently, the Drug Enforcement Administration created a list of drug slang code words last year, and recently modified the list to keep up with the evolving street lingo. I'm already laughing. If the updated section for cannabis slang is any indication, the agency is trying to connect with the kids while going through a midlife crisis. A few of the terms like terpenes and MMJ, which is short for medical marijuana, are not actually slang terms. Other names on the list, like shoe, appear to be completely made up. I don't think I've ever used the word shoe to describe marijuana, but I may be wrong. Maybe I did at some point. I don't know. Where do they get these names? I have no idea. Meanwhile, words like blunts, good, and gas were apparently not important enough to make the cut. All names I've heard, well, blunts are specifically, a specific implement used to smoke marijuana, but good, gas, those are all common names for marijuana. Other names, they have a whole list here. And this list, and all these articles, as always, that I talk about are linked in the description of the video if you want to go see the full list at Reason. And I normally don't, I wouldn't recommend looking through a long list of things, and this is a long list. That's one of the weird things about it, is that the list is so long. I'm not sure why it is, or what the purpose of it is, even. 420, obviously. A-bomb, apparently, is a marijuana mixed with heroin. I've never heard that. Of course, I'm not hanging out with a lot of people who are mixing marijuana and heroin. Can't do everything. Acapulco Gold, it's really an old term. It's an old strain name from the 60s and the 70s. African Black, African Bush, Airplan. Is that supposed to say airplane? Airplane. I don't even make any sense. Airplane. Angola. Is that in a country in Africa? Ashes. Aunt Mary. Never. Arizona. That's a state. Bale. Bombala Chaca. Bombala Chacha. Barbajine. Bash. Bazooka apparently is marijuana mixed with cocaine paste. What? Who's doing this stuff? BC Bud. Well, BC Bud, that's what they have it with 2 Ds. With 1 D, it's a common name for marijuana grown in British Columbia. Bang, that's a drink. That's like a marijuana infused drink. Black Bart, Black Gold, Black Maria, Blondie, like the band. Let's go down at random. Downtown Brown, Doobie. Doobie, that is correct. Doobie is a rather old term for a joint. Endo, yeah, yeah. Dry High, I'm not sure what that is. Fine Stuff, never used Fine Stuff. Flower, obviously marijuana flower. Green Skunk, Gummy Bears. Is Gummy Bears slang or is it just an edible gummy bears? I don't know. Lime Pillows. Lime Pillows. That's the dumbest one yet. Mary Jane or Mary Jones. Mary Jones. Was that Mary Jane as an alias? Mary Jane's alias is Mary Jones. Or, alternately, Mary Warner or Mary Weaver. Basically, anybody named Mary, I guess now is slang for marijuana. Mersh, Mexican Brown, OJ, Phoenix. Oh, you can say Phoenix and some Arizona, you have Phoenix, Arizona. There you go. That's why I host this show. Plant? Plant. Just the word plant. You got any plant? You got some good plant? You want to roll up some plant? Never in my life have I heard that. A couple things about this are really weird. Prop 215, that's not slang. That's the medical marijuana initiative in 1996 that passed in California. Look, one, I don't know why there's so many names. I mean, they basically just about anything. Well, shoe. Just Arizona. States, countries, provinces, things, pocket rocket. It's like a vibrator. I don't know what the purpose is. If there's so many different words for something, it kind of loses all meaning. Basically, anything you say. Oh, Ramashamalamdam. Maybe that means cannabis now. Add to the list. I don't understand. And I don't understand what the purpose of the list is anyway. What are they doing with this list? They listen to people's phone calls and they hear somebody say, oh man, I got this dope pair of shoes. They say, oh, they're slanging the bud. They're slanging the doobies on the corner. They're talking about shoes. This got some dope kicks. I just got some dope kicks. That's not weed. I'm talking about shoes. Puff. Purple Haze. Again, that's a strain name. That's not a... Reefer. Yes, that is correct. I will accept reefer. Railroad weed. Ragweed. Queen Anne's lace. See, there's so many it loses all meaning. I've read you maybe 0.5% of the number. Pot. Yes, I'll accept pot. That is a slang name. Well, as you know the slang words for marijuana, and there's not 500 of them. There's a handful. Maybe if you want to stretch it, you can get to a couple dozen. But beyond that, you're not going to find anything that anybody uses on a regular basis. Because it's not necessary. At a certain point, if everything means weed, then nothing means weed. If everything is slang for weed, then nothing is slang for weed. And again, what is the purpose of this list? How many taxpayer dollars were spent on this stupid list? That it serves no purpose. You hear someone going down the street, they say, this guy, we tapped this guy's phone, he said Queen Anne's lace. Then what? What's the next step after you hear someone refer to marijuana as Queen Anne's lace? Where do you go from there? Or arrest in order? Is that enough for a warrant? I don't understand. It's stupid. It's a waste of money. I would love to know. Maybe I will try to research that somehow. Maybe I'll call the DEA and ask them, how much does this list cost? Are interns working on it? Are agents working on it? How is it compiled? How many agents are on this? How many man hours have been paid for by the taxpayers of the United States for the DEA to make up a 600-word list of slang terms for marijuana? Absolutely useless, but fun content for the show. That's it for today's episode of Cannabis News. Thanks everybody for checking us out. Make sure you check out MakeCannabisGreatAgain.com. Check out the swag, MarijuanaTimes.org, the articles, all of these shows by clicking the video tab. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Make sure you search the Marijuana Times on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. Thank you to Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thank you all for liking and commenting, and especially sharing these videos. You are what helping is helping. You are what is helping. No, you are what is helping. You are helping us grow this show. Need some more Queen Anne's lace. Take care of that after the show. Stupidity. Absolute stupidity. I'm discombobulated. That's probably on the list. Discombobulated. You got some of that good discombobulated? I do. I just took a trip to the dispensary. Got some discombobulated. Ironically enough, it will make you discombobulated. That's why they call it that. Thanks, everybody. Keep sharing the videos and all that. And we'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.